Hey, hello everyone, and thanks for logging on today for today's learning opportunity. I want to thank you all for taking the time to come on. We don't take lightly how valuable your time is, and we certainly appreciate the environment everybody's in. The challenges are unique for businesses and chambers, so therefore the solutions have to be unique. So we're here today to discuss one of those solutions, which is an association retirement plan. So on today's call, we've got a diverse group of chambers. So I went through the registration. We've got registrants from 31 different states and membership ranging from around 100 to just over 2,000 members. We'll talk about the opportunity to chambers, their member businesses, and their employees. And we'll get into a little bit of the regulatory environment that got us here, work through a couple short case studies, and then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A at the end. Before we get too far, I want to do a quick poll here and just question you guys onto what your goals are for this program, and see if you're looking to add new members, provide additional programs for existing members, or maybe a little bit of both. So I'll give you a few seconds here to answer this. While you're answering this, I want to thank anybody who sent some questions in ahead of time. I got a few through email that helped me put together my frequently asked questions, so appreciate you guys doing that. All right, so we got 100% of the results said you're looking for both. So I'm certainly not surprised by that, but as we work through the program, we'll talk a little bit about how you can use this program to add new members and to provide existing programs to your membership. So we'll talk about the advantages to the association. So one of the key advantages is the ability to drive revenue to the chamber through recruiting and retaining members. The other opportunity is for the chamber to really take a leadership role in the financial wellness, not just of their businesses, but for their employees and the community as a whole. And after the program's implemented, there's the ability for the chamber to really show a quantifiable member benefit. So for example, let's say your membership cost is $200. We can go to that business upon renewal or membership, sign up and say, your 401k, we could potentially save you in the thousands of dollars. So it makes it renewal process much easier if you can put something in front of them that shows just something about what their membership paid for. The last bullet, it's not something we really want to overlook here. We've had a few chambers tell me that they're looking to deepen the relationships with the employees of their member businesses. So typically chambers have great relationships with the owners, the HR, the marketing staff, but really lack that connection to the employees of the member business. So we think that this is a program that helps establish or enhance that connection. Any sort of retirement program has to be built from the ground up. So from a participant standpoint first. But what I mean by that is, for me, 20 years as an advisor, especially in the retirement plan space, I have to look at the program and say, okay, for that 22-year-old who's maybe at his or her first job, putting away that 20 or 30 bucks a week, how does this program benefit them? And then we have to work with what the business is trying to accomplish. So throughout this, we'll have to take a look at how this affects them from their perspective. One of the main advantages to the employees of their member businesses is the lower cost that these programs can offer. So simply put, the lower the fees are, the more money gets to stay in those participant accounts, which leads to higher balances, plain and simple. The other advantage is these employees of the businesses get the benefit of attending these chamber-led financial wellness programs. So that's something we'll talk more about later on, but you have the ability to get in your members who are estate planning attorneys, insurance professionals, accountants, and really make this, if you choose to, a chamber-led financial wellness program that ties all these members together. So the 401k plan, it's going to be created with all the current plan design features. So one of the challenges that individual members face in trying to keep up with the legislation changes. So for example, we went through the CARES Act, and some of the provisions were for retirement plans. Instead of each one of your member businesses having to adopt their plan to address these changes, these CARES Act provisions could have been adopted at the chamber level with guidance and pushed out to your members with little or no labor on their part. But this is an example of how this program can really be a top-notch, polished program that allows your member businesses to have a chamber-led 401k program that's on par with that of any major employer. So the advantages to the businesses are obviously, a lot of them are the same as to the employees. They can tap into that collective buying power of the chamber. So no longer do they have to run a standalone 401k plan. And through the program that we're building here, they have the buying power of potentially other chambers. So as these other chambers start to build into this program, those cost savings get passed down to the member businesses and to the employees. They have the ability as a business to offer these financial wellness programs that are built through the chamber. And that's really a program that's unique to small businesses. I mean, typically, 5 or 10, 20 employee shops don't have any sort of financial wellness program for their employees. We know how valuable a commodity time is to small businesses. This program saves them time not only initially starting the plan, but also maintaining the plan. Week to week, year to year, there's certain responsibilities that can now be outsourced to professionals through the chamber program. So before we get into some of the regulatory stuff, I want to hop on here and do another quick poll. So in this poll, I'm going to ask a different question about the process. So where are you guys in the process? Is this the first you're learning of it? Have you done a little bit of research? Maybe you started to put the program together, or maybe you've already implemented a similar program. So I'll give you a couple seconds here to answer that. Okay, great. So we had one person say they've implemented a similar program, but for the vast majority of you, this is either the first you're learning of it, you're done, or you've done a little bit of research there. So I appreciate those of you who've done a little bit of research, and for those of you first learning of this, welcome aboard. So there's been a lot written about these programs. There's been a lot of national coverage, and I've been happy to contribute to a lot of those articles. But for me, when I do my research, I always want to go right back to the source, right back to the source documents. So I grabbed a couple screenshots here. These are directly from the US Department of Labor website. This one here on this slide is from a fact sheet covering the ruling last year. So it says at the bottom, on July 29, 2019, the US DOL announced a new rule that expands access to affordable, quality retirement saving options for Americans working in small and mid-sized businesses. And here's the bottom of that page. So in 2019, this ruling allowed for associations brought together by geographic area to band together to start these plans. So what does that sound like? Sounds like chambers of commerce, right? So in fact, in another document, they actually mentioned chambers of commerce 10 or 12 times. So to me, that's a pretty clear directive that the DOL wants these programs to be in place, and they want chambers to lead them. So getting back to this document here, in the second section, it talks about some of the possible benefits. So expanding access to association retirement plans lets these small and mid-sized businesses obtain the economies of scale for administrative and the investment choices that are currently enjoyed by large employers. Participating will lower costs, decrease regulatory burden, and fiduciary liability on small businesses. So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today. And this is coming right from the Department of Labor. So one of the questions I get a lot is, who is the target market for these programs? So I'll turn that program around a little bit and say, well, that depends on what the chamber's goals are. We might do a little bit of work on the feasibility study and look into your chamber and find out that a lot of your existing businesses don't actually have any retirement plans in place now. So we'll target the marketing and build the program around helping them to start a plan. You may find out that a lot of your existing businesses have 401k plans in place. So we might try to build this program around getting the message out about how they can improve those plans and how they can increase the service level and decrease the costs. You may want to use this as a tool to gain new membership. So we might start to look at businesses in your area who don't have plans and who aren't members, who want to use this plan who want to use this program to start a plan and bring them into the chamber. There might be businesses in your area who have plans, but they're not currently chamber members. So we could target those as a way to re-engage them with their local chamber of commerce. And we'll certainly work with you to identify those businesses. There's no right or wrong answer in terms of which quadrant you want to focus on here, but we want to make sure that we build the program so that it's in line with your chamber goals. So I'm going to ask another quick question here. And so this is similar to the first question, but I want to ask this again in terms of how you folks feel at this point you'd be looking to use this program. Is it to increase the quality of the programs that are in place? Is it to start new programs with your members, or use it to gain new members? All right, so the vast majority of people answered that it's a little bit of all four, and that's okay. That's good to know, because what we want to do is make this program amenable to all these types of directions that you want to go in. Some of the questions emailed me ahead of time, or some of the frequently asked questions I get from the chambers, is how much time is this going to take to start and maintain? Well, not a lot. That's the quick answer. Most of the work is done on our end. So we start with a demographic or feasibility study, and we'll market the program, but under your branding, under your direction. And as far as ongoing time commitments, there's not a lot there either. It should be a board agenda item, so it's discussed quarterly, and we'll provide all the reporting, and we'll provide the updates to the board. Another common question, and one that was emailed me, is what is the cost to the chamber? Well, it might be zero, depending on how the program is structured. So some of the larger chambers that have a good sized staff, they may actually become the lead employer in the plan and have their chamber employees be participants in the program. In that instance, their costs would be the same as any other member business. Some of the smaller chambers who might have a smaller staff count or might actually be totally board run, they may be adopting into a larger national program, and there wouldn't be any cost to the chamber to adopt into that, yet it still be completely branded as a chamber program. So again, we have a pretty diverse group of chambers on this call today, so that's something we could certainly address in a one-on-one session. What size chamber does this make sense for? So that's a question I get a lot too. I see chambers of a lot of different sizes actually being successful with this program. I see smaller chambers might be a little bit quicker to market. You might have a 100 member chamber with 10 businesses in this program by the end of the year. Some of the larger chambers, they might take a little bit more time to put this program in place, but they have a significant membership base that they can offer this to. They may not have the same connection that a smaller chamber has with their members. So a couple different angles there. Smaller chambers, faster to market, more connection. Larger chambers might take them a little bit longer, and their success might be later on. I believe that by the end of 2021, almost every chamber will be involved in some aspect of their members' retirement plans. It's just a question of what type of program and how proactive they want to be when they're rolling it out. So let's talk a little bit about the timeline here. So there's really 4 key phases. You have the data gathering process, which that's where I learn a little bit more about your chamber and the goals, and do a little bit of that demographic study that we talked about. And a lot of that work is done before we go to the board, before final approval. We want to have something that's actually presentable to the board. And when we get in that design phase, we work a little bit closely with your board, and that's when we'll work with them to get that board approval. At that point, we could start to market the program. So that's the same way you would market any other chamber program. It's webinars, it's social media, it's website, it's traditional mailing. And then we work to start to implement these businesses. So that's on the individual business level, how they convert their plan and start to roll that out to their employees and do those type of meetings. So that's one track I've seen chambers go. Another one is sort of a parallel track, as I'll call it, where you have some chambers who are a little bit more proactive, who say, well, we can take that time frame and we can really cut that in half. So we can do a lot of the marketing aspects. We can do that while we're doing some of the data gathering. So while we're starting to put the program together, we can get feedback from our members. We can talk to them one-on-one. We can do some surveys. There's no reason to wait until we've got full board approval to start to softly market this. And we can have some of those employee meetings really right up as you're going for the board approval. So that's an instance where you could have that chamber bringing this program to market as early as September if they wanted to. So one of the questions I get a lot is about chamber revenue and how we can use this to get money into the chamber. So we're certainly sensitive to the idea that chambers are in a bit of a financial crunch. A lot of chambers are looking to band together with other chambers, and some chambers unfortunately might cease operations. We hope that's nobody on the call, but we want to use this as an innovative program that helps to drive revenue. So first is obviously the ability to recruit new membership. All 401k data is public, so we know who has 401ks, so we can look in your area and see if they're not members, and we can help you market to them and bring them a program that helps bring them into the chamber and helps get them engaged. So typically there's some businesses in town who might not have that connection. They might not need the marketing. They might not need some of the social aspects that traditionally chambers are known for. This is the program that could potentially re-engage them with the chamber. Another option I'm seeing is some chambers are using this as another membership tier. So maybe they combine this with some other programs that they're working on, and so it becomes a premium tier or executive tier or something along those lines, where maybe it's a partnership with some advertising programs that you're working on. So maybe it's part of a podcasting program that you roll out that helps market the business. Maybe it's part of a premium software package where it's something like a Monit that's a cash flow prediction software that's another tool for small businesses. But this is really an opportunity for the chambers here to be creative, and they can include this as part of a membership tier with some other programs that they're working on. I've also got another group of chambers who say, you know what, we really don't want to use this as a way to drive any sort of additional revenue. Yes, we want to use it to get new membership, but we're not looking to necessarily profit from it. We're just looking to bring this out to our existing memberships, and that's okay too. So I want to take this opportunity to let you guys ask some questions here. If there's some you want me to address. I see some that are reaching out to, a lot of you individually. Some of you ask questions that I'll answer in an email, more sort of on a one-on-one basis. And that's all I have for now. So again, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate you jumping on, and we'll speak soon.